So you bought a stock and it's not going well. So what exactly should you do? When should you do it? And what should you do next? Let's go ahead and break it down. We've all been there. We have all been there where you've bought something, you thought it was going to be the next great thing, and it didn't. And the stock is down. And now you're trying to figure out, well, what do I do now? And how am I supposed to feel about where this stock is and where it is headed? I've got three things I think you should consider that can help guide you on whether you should sell it, or whether you should continue to buy more, or whether you should just leave things be. So the first one here is know exactly what happened. Why is the stock down? Now you might be thinking, well, the company's just trash. And that could be true. Other times it could just be because the entire stock market is down. And it just is the situation. So for example, at the time that we're doing this video, in the last 3 months, the entire stock market is down 9%. You can buy a great company and it just happens to be down. A company like Tesla this year that had done well, the last few months, it just stopped. It just has not done well. And again, the entire stock market has just started to slide. That's not your fault. That doesn't mean that that particular stock isn't doing well. But again, that depends on what company you own. It could be because they missed on a sales number. It could be because the company is going bankrupt. It could be because the entire stock market is down. You have to drill down and see what exactly is wrong with that company. The best way to do that is just really Google the company, see what comes up. I would specifically type in, let's say, the company, hit stock, and then hit the news tab in Google, and it's going to give you what should be some reputable sources on what is going on. Another way, and this is a little caveat here, if you're on the public app, they have an AI tool called Alpha. You can type that in, and you'll go to the button, hit Alpha, and hit the button that says what is going on with this company, basically. What is driving price action, I think is the exact button, and it will spit out exactly what is going on with the company, and that may help you to make a better decision. That breakdown on how to use that AI tool I've done inside our members only, so they know exactly how to do that. But if you need any more information, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Next thing is expectations. What is the company expected to do in the near term, meaning the next 6 to 12 months? The reason why I say that is because every company is going to have different expectations. So for example, a Microsoft is going to be expected to do quite well because technology is going to be here, right? People are still going to buy computers, use Microsoft Word and all kind of stuff. A company like AMC might not be so great. And the reason why, people are probably rolling their eyes at me about AMC, but think about it. Because of the way that the writers' strikes and the actors' strikes have hit, a lot of the big summer blockbuster movies are going to be delayed in 2024 and might not come out in the summer the way that they were once supposed to. That's going to hurt because as great as a movie as Killers of the Flower Moon or Oppenheimer were, they didn't make $1 billion, right? The Marvel movies make billions of dollars, and that is what really sets these companies up for a good year. Those things get delayed or canceled altogether or just pushed back, that's going to hurt a company like AMC and any theater company. So the expectation is this might not end up well for a company like that. So you do need to know what should be expected, what is the general consensus, and what the environment is doing. A company, for me, like SJM, Smuckers, we've talked about this one before, it's a solid dividend company, but hasn't done well, right? And I'm looking at what is expected to happen during the holidays, what's expected to happen in 2024 with that company, and that's going to help me to decide later this year whether I'm going to cut the company or whether I am going to keep it. The best way to figure out whether something or what the expectations of something is, exact same way I told you earlier, right? You can go to Google and see what the headlines are. Also, another great place is to check out the earnings reports, which are coming out right about now on what they expect to happen over the next sometimes year. Sometimes I'll give you a 10-year plan, but I don't really put a whole bunch of stock in that. I want to know, what do you expect in the near term? The future that we can predict most reliably, which, you know, is worth what it's worth. The next thing too is time. Now, some people have been around long enough to know that just because you have one bad day doesn't mean that you should absolutely get rid of the stock. I think that you should at least wait 6 to 12 months to decide whether to let something go or whether to decide to continue to keep it. The reason why is because over that time, it kind of gives you a normal baseline. You could just happen to have invested on a bad day. It happens. You didn't know that an earnings call came out. It just happened to, some terrible news came out. A CEO got fired or put in a scandal on the day that you invested and the stock dropped 10%. That does not feel great. It doesn't feel great at all, but it can happen. It does happen, just, on an unlucky day. And over time, over 6 months, over a year, a lot of those things get smoothed out and you could recover. You could do quite a bit better, and that one day is not going to matter. Now, the opposite could also be true, where a stock continues to slide down and continues to do so for 6 months. That is a possibility. Okay, there are several stocks that have been down for years on end, right? But you can recover from a 6-month loss and say, look, I've held it. Things didn't go well. Things have progressively gotten worse. I'm going to go ahead and cut my losses and then go somewhere else. The main thing is I don't want you to immediately panic and jump out of something just because it's been a bad day or it was just a bad short period and things recovered. An example of this, another great example, is all of what happened in 2022 with a ton of tech stocks. Meta was terrible last year. Nvidia, which is great this year, was terrible last year. And if you had waited an entire year, things would have started to improve at the very end, and you could have continued to buy and hold on to companies that ended up doing quite well in 2023. But if you didn't, and you said, oh my God, I'm just going to hop out of this, then you would have missed a company that's up like 150% or 200% in the case of Nvidia, like it was earlier this year. So you want to make sure that you are using these to help guide you. The key thing though is every stock that you own is going to have a different answer. Okay, every stock that I own is going to have a different answer. I feel much differently when I look at my own portfolio about SJ Smuckers compared to something like Palo Alto Networks. Two completely different things. If I'm looking at a company like Discover compared to Booking.com, I feel completely different about what I expect for those companies, what I'm thinking about, what is going to happen for them next year, and how well they're doing right now. Two completely different experiences in both cases, but I need to go through this list anytime I think I have a bad stock and then decide what I'm going to do next. What I would say too is it usually helps not to choose a bad stock to begin with, though we all make mistakes. So here is something that is going to help you out. I've done an entire video on some things that you should avoid to help you to, weave your way around bad stocks. So go ahead and check out these videos right here.